Hello guys, welcome back to SWS Boxing. Delighted to get Jon Trethewey back on. He's a boxing promoter for TM114 Promotions, and yeah, good to get you back on.
Thanks, Sam. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, champ.
Good,
and,
good.
So my first question. Well, he's had one show so far this year, but we'll get on to that in a bit. So last year, what show do you want to talk about first?
Whichever one you want, mate. I mean, it was our first full year last year, so we had our first show in the October or November of 2021, which was still in COVID, and then last year was our full year. We did 10 shows in total, so we're really happy with the first year, and we've already got 16 booked for this year, but that'll probably be more. So they were all great shows. Anything you want to know, really?
So should we talk about September the 30th, because that was a great night?
Yeah. Well, who headlined that? Was that Ballinor against Marsden?
No, Ballinor v Jones.
Boy Jones. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was a great show. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, and so should we talk Jordan Perkins v Ryan Walker?
Yeah.
Well, what did you score it? I mean, I know you're neutral as you're like the promoter, but if you can say, what did you score the fight?
Yeah, I am neutral, but I'll still be honest and tell you exactly what I thought and how I saw it, because I think that's right. So building up to the fight, I thought it was going to be a close 50-50. It was hard to pick. I did genuinely think that Ryan's size might be a little bit of a problem for Jordan, because he's just naturally going up in weight. Jordan normally fights at super flyweight, and they were fighting at bantam, and Ryan fought a bigger than bantam before. So I thought that Ryan might just have the advantage. But on the night, it was an absolute classic, 50-50. I can't remember how I scored it, but I think I had Jordan 1 or 2 up. Literally, some people thought it was close. The odd person gave it to Ryan, but definitely the right person got it on the night. Straight after, I had a picture with the two of them and spoke to them when they came out the changing rooms, and I said to Ryan that was the right result, and he didn't argue, to be fair. But they both move onwards and upwards. I think Ryan's out in a couple of weeks. He's fighting for a Southern area against an opponent he's beaten before. Not on my show, but he's fighting that's right. He's gone up in weight, which obviously suits him. The opponent they've beaten before. So if they win that again for a Southern area, that's great for Ryan. And obviously onwards and upwards for Jordan. Jordan's fighting Ramez Mahmoud, another guy we know well, and that's for the English title down at bantamweight where he fought before. So I think if I'm looking at that right now, I probably have Jordan a slight favourite, especially on the back of that fantastic win there. You know, and technically Jordan's superb. Comes out of a great gym in the Edge gym with Will Jones there, and they'll be ready. And let's hope that that's another cracker. But we wish Ramez well as well, and I'll try and be there. That's not on my show, that's on Lee's show, but I'm going to try and be there because that's one not to be missed.
Yeah, that is a good show. Are you
yeah.
So with you and the Peacock gym, are you like doing shows with them or something? What's happening with you and them?
Yeah, we are. So it's really exciting, actually, Sam. It's very different from what we normally do on the small hall shows. It's an intimate setting. They have their own venue that holds about 300 people. So every seat in the house is fantastic, and you're pretty much on top of the ring. So if you get a ticket, it's a great seat to have. It's designed ideally at helping the grassroots of boxing, where we're fighters that can't maybe sell big volume of ticket and get on the bigger shows at York Hall. Not only that, there's some other people that we'll have on there as well. But really what we want to do is help these fighters. And it's a totally different setup. The home fighters will get paid, as will the away fighters, whereas normally that's done on their ticket sale. So we'll still ask them to sell a few tickets, nowhere near as many as normal, and the price is a lot cheaper. And it'll be 5 or 6 fight cards. We're going to start doing one a month there. We may end up doing more.
So when's your first show at the Peacock? Yeah.
March the 11th, and that's going to be headlined by John Joe Nevin. He's an ex-Olympic silver medalist from 2012. He lost out to Luke Campbell there. He's 14-0 as a pro. There's rumours flying around that he's going to get on the Katie Taylor undercard after, so it'll be a nice fight for him here. We've got Leo Derlanger on there as well. He comes out of Ben Davison's gym. And then there's a few others that we've got as well, a few debuts, and maybe some people on there that aren't renowned for big ticket sales. And we're already looking at the show in April as well. We've got one a month there for the next 6 months at
Oh,
Peacock.
that's good. That's good. Do you have any matched for that show or not just yet?
I don't think we do actually. I've due to pick up with a matchmaker on Monday. He's excellent, our matchmaker, Eddie Muscat. He does all that for us. He's the expert. Been doing it for donkey's years. Tend to just let him crack on with it. He knows what he's doing. He's better at it than we are. So I had a busy weekend last weekend with a show, and then this week I had a lot going on, penciling dates and doing a few bits and others. So I'm due a meeting with Eddie on Monday.
Yeah. So should we talk about your show? Was it the weekend just gone, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So firstly, should we talk about T Willett?
Yeah, so T Willett, a heavyweight. We had him on the show at last. We've worked with him before, and we worked well with his trainer Harry Holland. His manager Harry Holland. Good prospect. He's now up to 6-0. I think he had 4 of his fights a few years back. So he'd been inactive. They've obviously decided to go again, and he won back end of last year, and then he's won that now. So he's 6-0. Probably another fight for him, and then we'll start looking to step him up and get him into some 50-50s, potentially a southern area. I believe the southern area is vacant at the moment at heavyweight, but T probably needs another fight, step him up maybe for a 6-rounder, and then see what's available out there. There's 1 or 2 other fighters around that's similar. We won't call them out right here, but 1 or 2 I can think of that might look like a good 50-50 for a southern area.
So can I expect him to fight on one of your shows again?
Of course, yeah, we work closely with them. So I can tell you now, T will be fighting. We haven't announced it, but I don't mind letting you know he'll be on April the 22nd at York Hall. We'll step him up to a 6-rounder definitely, and maybe try and up the opponent a bit more again. And then from there, it will be that we'll be looking in the summer to get him either in for a southern area fight or a big 50-50 at least, because he'll be at that level. If he comes through the next one, he'll be 7-0, and then really you got to start banging on the door for these southern areas around there if you can get it. But yeah, he's confirmed. April 22nd, he'll be back out.
Oh, fair enough. He's a good prospect.
Yeah, he's very good. Yep.
What about Ben Lil v Sean Jackson? Was it? That was a draw.
Yeah, Ben Lilly. Yeah. First time we've had Ben on the show. Again, we work with his manager and trainer, is Steve. And we've had his daughter on before, Harley Whitwell. You may remember that. So it was nice to work with him again. He came all the way down. I think they're based up in Cambridge way. So it's quite a trek to come down to York Hall. And he brought some fans with him, which was really, really good. It was a good scrap. You know, we had a couple of good scraps on the show, Sam, which is really, really good. Because sometimes, you know, the home fighters, when they all win, that's great. But sometimes if they're very routine and straightforward, it can be a little bit like expected. So to have a couple of ding dongs on there, and that was one of them, and it was a draw, and Ben will learn from that, definite, and that was a fair result, and Ben will move on from there, and I'm sure we'll be working with Ben again soon. I haven't got a date confirmed, but we'll speak with his manager.
Do you think that Ben could rematch him?
I think that if I was a fighter and I had a draw and I know I'm capable of beating him, I'd always want a rematch. So I would imagine they would be thinking right now, let's get back in there and right the wrong, because he didn't get beat, but a draw's a draw. You don't really want a draw on your record, certainly, just like you don't a defeat. So if you can get back in there and beat that guy again, that's a box ticked for Ben. And I'm damn sure he'll want to do that. He's a brave man.
Yeah. So George O'Leary also got a draw against Robbie Chapman. They both got dropped, and they dropped each other. So cracking fight, really.
Yeah, it was well matched by Eddie Muscat. Again, that one. I mean, Robbie Chapman's seasoned, experienced. Some people call him journeyman, but, you know, he is hard as they come, Robbie Chapman, and very experienced. There was a little bit of needle that I won't go into at the weigh-in, which just added to the spice. And both of them came for it and put an absolute show on for the crowd. So, again, yeah, really, really good.
For me, fight of the night.
Yeah, it definitely was a fight of the night. You know, when you're getting George got dropped himself, and when Robbie came and put it on him, I think it was the first round he dropped him. You know, clearly George was behind on those scorecards, and he had to do something special in the last round. And if he didn't, it would have been a defeat for George, which wouldn't have been good at all. And actually he went and put him down with about 10 seconds to go. So the fact that he did that, he did what he needed to do to get the result. And he'll learn from that, a bit like Ben will, you know. if you have like 8, 9 fights and you win them all and it's very routine and very easy, I'm not sure what the fighter learns from it. I watch them in the gym sparring and they have better sparring sessions sometimes than some of the fights. So that'll be excellent for him and his trainer, Ian Andrews, who's a great trainer. They'll go away and look at that and maybe what went wrong in that first round, and they'll be back again and even stronger, no doubt.
What about Robert Vincent? Of course, is he 2-0 now, isn't he?
Yeah, he went to 2-0. So we had his debut, I think it was November, wasn't it? Back end of last year, we had his debut, and then we had his second fight. Really lovely lad, lovely family. I've met his family a couple of times and been to their home. He's well supported. He's got Bradley Skeet in his corner, which is fantastic. And I said this on an interview after the last fight. I like his movement. He's very much Bradley Skeet-esque. I kind of like. Yeah, I like that as a fighter when they're slick and they can move and lots of feinting and stuff. So that was another good learning fight for him. We have Rob out again in April, so we'll announce that next week. Rob will have his third fight out with us.
Is that on the 22nd as well?
It will be, yes.
Because he fought Casey Brandon, who's a tough man.
Yeah, good journeyman, Casey, definite.
Yeah. So Joe Bartel, of course, what a stoppage, really, and a big statement to make on your debut, stopping Paul Cummings.
Yeah, you know your stuff, Sam. Your knowledge is excellent. Yeah, it was a huge statement. We're not surprised. You know, Paul Cummings getting stopped is a bit of a surprise. We're not surprised at how good Joel was. So a lot of people who wouldn't follow amateur boxing wouldn't know about Joel. His amateur pedigree is excellent. I know all the gyms around London and Essex and Hertfordshire and Kent. The noise is that Joel is a fantastic talent, and he's sparred all the top talent. You know, he's been sparring the likes of Denzel Bentley, who's a lot bigger. He's been sparring Adam Azim, who might be a tiny bit smaller, but Adam Azim, we all know, just to name one or two there. Mm-hmm. He trains in Mark Tibbs's gym. Mark Tibbs has got one of the best gyms in the country and one of the best stables. So Mark wouldn't just sign any old fighter. You've got to be of an elite level with potential to get into that gym, I'd imagine. And obviously having Mark and his legendary dad in the corner, Jimmy, on the night, they were both there. And again, that was brilliant. And, you know, in the build-up, I went to see him in the week of the fight. He's like, I'm going to stop him. I was like, that's a bold statement. I spoke to his dad just at the weigh-in in the afternoon. He's like, we're going to stop him. I then spoke to Joe again before he went out. He went, we're going to stop him. And they did exactly what they predicted to do. So well done to Joel. We move onwards and upwards. We're proud to have Joel again for his next fight. That won't be until May, but Joel will be back out on a May show. I want to say May the 5th, but we've got him booked in.
Yeah. So I mean, Jeff O'Fari did beat Lee Hallett, but it's a bit of a nightmare, wasn't it, with the opponents for him?
Yeah, the dark side of the sport, Sam, that sometimes fans and even you journalists don't see is fight week, the week before, where fights fall through and we for whatever reason, the title fight was booked in. Frank Arnold was ready to go. Jeff was ready to go. There was quite a lot of noise around it. It was split in opinion on who was going to win. You know, a lot of people felt that Jeff was going to win it with his experience and he's quite slick. But I think a lot of people were writing off Frank because he had a disappointing fight in his last fight on a BT show where he got stopped and knocked out. But I mean, that could happen to anyone. And again,
I mean, that was a good fight to get on your show because they've both been on BT as well, haven't they?
Yeah, so basically what happened is there was some problems in border control where some medicals hadn't been signed off on fight week. No one's fault in particular. It's just some things came to light maybe 48 hours, 72 hours before the fight. Trying to get that cleared off and signed off by doctors in that time is very, very difficult. There's no problem with either fighter. The match is rescheduled and you're the first to know, Sam. It will go on April the 22nd at York Hall. And all medicals are fine, and that will go ahead. It's just one of those things, but it was disappointing on the night. Having said that, well done to the matchmaker. Managed to get Lee Hallett at last minute notice. Lee is a very known, durable journeyman on the scene, and he was available. I think he had the weekend booked off with his family or his missus. But when we put a bit of pressure on him and said, "Look, you need to fight," he come and put on a good show. You know, you're never going to really stop Lee Hallett. Jeff went for it in that last round. I think Jeff showed how good he is. But yeah, it was great to still have Jeff on, and it was right to have him on headlining, albeit it was against Lee. But it was either that or not have Jeff on at all. And Jeff had been for a training camp and Jeff was ready to go. So we managed to get him an opponent.
I think Mace Rueg was meant to fight him as well. Bit of a nightmare, but I'm sure you'll get there on the 22nd of April, and I'm sure it will happen.
Yeah, definitely. And we feel really sorry for Jeff because the fight against Mace fell through for one reason or another. There was illness there on that fight. Then this one's fell through because of the board. And the board's job is to protect fighters, to be fair. So let's be very clear on that, Sam, because I have a lot of people fight week moaning about the board. And I was like, well, if they're not happy with something, their job is to be 100% confident that all fighters can fight. Because God forbid, touch wood, if anything happened to any of them fighters, then people would point the finger at them. So we weren't happy we lost the fight, but as soon as it sunk in, I was like, well, we're looking after both fighters here, and they will go again in April. Mace Rueg will be back out on March 24th.
So should we get on to that show now, 24th? Yeah. So you've got, is Lucas Ballingall headlining?
Lucas Ballingall was headlining. Lucas won't be fighting on that show now, Sam. We haven't announced that publicly yet. He's probably going to have an offer of something different and bigger for him, if we're honest. I won't say where or when because that's not my business. But we understand that, you know, we work hard to get good fights on and good 50-50s and more importantly titles. But we do understand there's a pecking order. If Eddie Hearn comes and knocks on the door and takes a bigger fight, or Frank Warren does, or Sky Sports, we know where we are in that order. So we wish Lucas well. I'm sure we'll work with Lucas again. His dad's brilliant, Michael. We work closely with him. So, and he's got other fighters that we.
No offense, but to Boy Jones, because I like Boy Jones. He's a good guy. But I thought Lucas, I don't like to say it, but he kind of schooled him.
I see why you say that. Lucas, firstly, Boy Jones is a fantastic fighter. He's very experienced. He's been around the block. He's only a young lad, but he's been doing it a long time. He's fought on big stages and platforms, BT mainly, Frank Warren over the years. The opportunity came up for Ben to take that fight against Lucas Ballingall, probably with about 4 weeks' notice. So he had a bit of notice, but it wasn't a full 8-10 weeks that they'd normally have. And he came and put on a good display. You know, it takes two to tango, Sam. You know, he didn't stop him. He didn't look anywhere near like he was going to stop him. I thought, I'd never had Lucas on one of my shows. I thought Lucas had good potential and he looked very good. Lucas, and I thought he'd be good. He was better than I thought. And I told his dad that afterwards, which is a compliment. He was very slick, very hard to hit, very hard to pin down. That style that I like again, you know, very much hit and not get hit. And yeah, like I wouldn't have it down as a schooling by any, but he clearly won, and he won as the scorecards would suggest.
Boy Jones will come again.
He will. Boy Jones will be out. He's out on our, again, it hasn't been announced publicly, but he will be. They will all be announced the next week. He'll be out on the 8th of April on a show of ours.
I thought he was out on the 24th of March.
No, that's been moved now. He's going to be on the 8th of April. He's going to be a couple of weeks later.
Oh, so is Conor Marsden still fighting on the 24th?
Yeah, Conor Marsden's back on the 24th of March. And do you know what? You have to take your hat off to Conor and his team. I love them. They want to come. After the last fight, a lot of fighters would want a tune-up fight, something easy to get back into it. No, Conor, straight in. I'm not going to announce it yet because it's a good announcement and we should be announcing that Monday or Tuesday. But he's going in a 50-50 fight against an undefeated fighter, which will raise eyebrows, and it's going to be an absolute barnstormer, and that will be on the 24th of March.
I mean, even when he did lose to Adam Azimi, he jumped straight back into defending his title against Mickey O'Rourke. Then he fought, you know, Martin. Even no offense to Martin, I had Conor up winning by maybe 2 rounds, but I mean, fair play to Martin. That KO was fair play to him, but fair play to Conor for jumping straight into a 50-50, and I'm sure that's going to be a good fight.
Conor's a dream to work with, Sam. His record, I think he's had 6 wins and 3 losses. His losses come at the hands of Craig Woodruff, who's just drawn with Gavin Gwynn for the British title, so no shame in that. He then lost to
Adam
Azim, which, well, look, I know Adam, and the hype is probably what you see on that. So, you know, was it a bit earlier than you predict? Yes, but You know, Adam Azim will go on and be a world champion. And when the dust settles on that, if you're someone like Conor and gets beat, you're almost like, well, that's okay. And then obviously the one against Martin McDonough, no disrespect to Martin, because he kind of stole the show there in the way, Martin, because he was definitely behind on the scorecards that night. Conor had boxed very, very well, very educated, very disciplined.
Engaged, didn't he, in that last round, Conor, when he didn't really need to?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, Sam. That's exactly what happened. In that last round, he should have just used the jab and moved around and kept Martin off him. Martin needed that knockout or he weren't going to win. And, you know, fair play to Martin. He got it. From a promoter's point, it was a dream because it was like a Rocky film. I think there was only about 20, 30 seconds left and he knocked Conor out.
I thought that was
a shame for Conor. Or was it that long? About a minute?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. But incredible.
It felt about 10 seconds, to be fair. But yeah, look, as I said, Conor, he should have just stayed away and done with that. And then Conor would have probably been fighting in big titles in the next fight because he would have defended his southern area there. He probably would have been fighting for an English title or something now.
I know, but
the fight you're going to see him in on March the 24th will make everybody go hats off to Conor. He'll take any kind of fight. And it's another 50-50 fight. The opponent exactly the same. You know, they'll both fancy it, and whoever wins that fight will be in a box seat for a big title fight.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think, Martin's, I don't think Martin's on your show, is he? He's on Lee's, is he?
He's managed by Lee now, so he will go on a Lee show, Martin McDonough. I haven't seen it announced if he's out yet. Last I saw, he thought he had some injury or bite or something. So I haven't seen an announcement that he's out. That's right, yeah.
But I think he's defending his title against, I'm not sure who. I think I might know, maybe Ben Smith, but I don't know.
Yeah, there were rumours about Ben against Martin, so that wouldn't surprise me. I just don't think it's been announced on what show and date yet.
Yeah, he's Indy Bassi, isn't he? Isn't he on your show?
Yeah, Inda Bassi's fighting on March the 24th. We're really excited about that. Inda is a fantastic prospect. He's just signed over with Martin Bowers and he's in the Peacock gym, who we're close with. Inda, you know, he lost against Jack Martin. That was a couple of years ago now. That still comes up in the memory because it was a really close fight and a bloody war. And that could have gone either way. And he's regrouped. He's done well since. He's now banging on the door to start getting into title fights. He's a strong man in the Bassi, very tall at the weight. You know, he can probably make welterweight. He can make light middleweight. Given the notice, considering how tall he is, he's very well supported. He's a lovely guy to deal with, very professional. And yeah, we're excited to have him out on March 24th at your call.
And anyone else you want to talk about before you go? Devon Miller?
Yeah, Devon. So Devon lost a fight at the back end of last year.
What a war.
I think that was his debut, actually. It was on our Grains show. It was a war. I struggle to remember each show because there's been so many. I'm sure it was on one of the Grays shows on his debut, and he got beat in a war.
Headline, I think.
Nina Hughes, that's right. Yeah, that's the card. I think it was that one. Yeah, you know your stuff. And but that's right. Yeah, Lewis Oakford. That's it. Now, whilst you don't want to defeat, like we've mentioned, certainly on your debut, it's not the best. However, he will learn from that. Yeah, so we're looking forward to seeing Devon come back.
He has fought since, and he knocked the guy out in a minute.
Yeah, I think he was on. Was that Costa's show? I think I'm trying to think whose show it was on, but it wasn't ours.
At Lee Valley Sports Centre thingy. I think
that's right. Yeah, in Hertfordshire. I think it was Costas' show. Yeah. So again, we're looking forward to having him back on and start building that CV back up for him. You know, it'll be a bit like T. Willett. You know, he's further behind, but we'll want to start building him up and getting him out as much as possible.
Is he a cruiserweight or a heavyweight? I can't remember. Cruiserweight.
Cruiser.
And T's the weight above.
That's right. I was just using them as an example, but get them some experience, get them some fights under their belt. The bigger fellas, the cruiserweight, Sam, and the heavyweights, there aren't millions of fighters out there because they're naturally a lot bigger, a bit like there aren't lots of the little ones, you know. So once they've got 4, 5, 6 fights under their belt, they should be banging on the door for Southern area kind of level, which T's probably run a fight away. Obviously, Devon's a long way away from that, but that'll be their aim.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. And thank you for your time, John, and enjoy the rest of your day, mate, yeah?
You too, Sam, and we'll see you down the shows.
Yes, mate, will do. Thank you for your time. Bye, mate.
Anytime, mate. Bye, bye, bye.
Right.